Hey everyone, Kevin Rosenquist here, and welcome back to the Event App Playbook, part of Event Trends by Eventify. This is episode 22, if you can believe it, and today we're covering the 10 features your event app genuinely needs in 2026. Not a wish list, not a vague framework, but the specific capabilities that determine whether your app actually performs when it matters. So let's get into it. Feature number one, offline access. Here's something that happens at almost every large event. The venue's Wi-Fi gets overwhelmed, too many people, one network, and connectivity becomes unreliable or disappears entirely. It's not a rare edge case. It's a when, not an if. And when it happens, your event app either holds up or it doesn't. Attendees still need to find their sessions, check the map, reference the agenda, and none of that should depend on a stable internet connection. Offline functionality means bookmark sessions, maps, and the full agenda are available regardless of what's happening with the network. If the app goes dark the moment connectivity drops, it's not a reliable tool. It's just another thing that can go wrong on event day. Feature number two, smooth onboarding. The first time an attendee opens your app, they're usually already at the event trying to orient themselves, figuring out where to go under mild time pressure. The first experience sets the tone for everything that follows. The threshold here is seconds, not a few minutes of exploration, seconds. If someone has to work to understand your app, most of them won't. They'll default to asking a staff member or just checking the printed schedule, and your app becomes a non factor. What makes the difference in 2026 is AI powered guided flows, onboarding that adapts to the individual user, surfacing personalized prompts based on their role and interests rather than walking everyone through the same generic setup. The app figures out what each person needs and leads them there. That's the standard worth aiming for. Feature 3, gamification and rewards. Engagement has a natural decay curve at events. Attendance is high at the opening keynote and tends to thin out as the event progresses. Booth traffic peaks early and drops off, and by day 2, the energy is noticeably different from day 1. Gamification addresses this directly by building motivation into the app itself. Challenges tied to the event, attend a session, visit an exhibitor, complete a check-in, earn points that unlock rewards. It doesn't need to be complicated, it just needs to give attendees a reason to keep moving through the event with intention. The downstream effects are real. Session attendance stays more consistent. Sponsor and exhibitor visibility improves because there's an incentive to engage with booths. And attendees spend more time in the app because there's always a next step to work toward. For B2B events especially, it's a more effective engagement driver than most organizers expect. Feature number 4, targeted communication. Push notifications are one of the most valuable tools an event app has, and one of the easiest to ruin. The moment an attendee receives a message that has nothing to do with them, they start tuning out. And once they disable notifications, you've lost that channel for the rest of the event. Personalized messaging changes that dynamic. Session updates go to attendees who bookmarked that session. Sponsor content goes to people who've shown relevant interest. Important logistics go to everyone. Nothing gets blasted indiscriminately just because it's easy to do so. When communication feels relevant, people respond to it and trust it. That trust is worth protecting because it's the thing that makes notifications useful in the first place. Feature 5, live interaction tools. There's a version of an event where attendees show up, sit down, and passively absorb content for 2 days. And there's a version where they're actively involved in what's happening around them. The event app is a big part of what determines which version you get. Live polls, Q&As, real-time surveys, session feedback. These tools turn passive attendance into active participation, and they need to be inside the app and frictionless to use in the moment. If accessing them requires steps, most people won't bother. The benefit runs in both directions. Attendees feel like participants rather than an audience. Speakers and organizers get live signal on what's resonating, which is genuinely useful information during a session, not just after it. Research shows 49% of event app providers identify engagement features as where attendees interact most, which means this is where the real value of your app gets demonstrated. Feature 6, robust sponsor analytics. Sponsors want to know what their investment did. That's a reasonable expectation, and how well your app supports that conversation has a direct impact on whether they'll come back. A post-event report delivered weeks later with estimated impressions doesn't really answer the question. Real-time dashboards do. Impressions, click-through rates, content downloads, booth visit data, all of it accessible as the event is happening. Sponsors can see what's working, not just hear about it afterward. What this builds beyond just reporting is trust. When sponsors have visibility into their ROI as it accumulates, they're not left waiting anxiously for a number to tell them whether it was worth it. That transparency is what turns one time sponsors into recurring partners. And it's a stronger retention tool than almost anything else you can offer them. Coming in at number 7, multilingual and accessibility support. Running a global event means serving a genuinely diverse attendee list. Different languages, different accessibility needs, different expectation of what a good app experience looks like. An event app that's only built for one type of user is quietly excluding everyone else before the event even begins. Multilingual interfaces, live captions, and accessibility friendly layouts for visually impaired attendees aren't workarounds or add ons. They're built in capabilities that reflect the actual scope of your audience. And practically speaking, an app that can't fully serve the people at your event isn't doing its job, regardless of how good the other features are. Feature 8, intelligent lead capture. For exhibitors, lead capture is the core reason they're at your event. Every conversation at a booth is a potential opportunity, and what happens to that opportunity after the conversation ends is entirely dependent on how the process works. Stacks of business cards and manual data entry after the event mean lost context, delayed follow-ups, and leads that go cold before anyone acts on them. Intelligent lead capture means QR code scanning that works instantly, digital business cards, and direct CRM integration from inside the app. Exhibitors can add notes while the conversation is still fresh, categorize leads on the spot, and have everything synced without touching a spreadsheet. The quality of your lead capture tools is a tangible factor in whether exhibitors find value in your event. It is definitely worth getting right. At number 9, predictive insights. Most event analytics describe what already happened. Predictive insights go further. They identify patterns in attendee behavior and turn those patterns into forward-looking intelligence that actually informs your next event. Which session formats are gaining traction across your audience? Which topics are starting to lose relevance? Where is engagement consistently strong and where does it drop off? AI reading behavioral signals throughout the event, bookmarks, content interactions, engagement patterns can surface answers to these questions in ways that post-event surveys and attendance reports simply cannot. The practical shift this creates is planning based on evidence rather than assumption. And over multiple events, that compounds into a real strategic advantage. And finally, at number 10, low bandwidth optimization. Offline access handles a complete loss of connectivity, but there's a more common scenario worth planning for: connectivity that exists but is inconsistent. Packed conference halls, informational venues, attendees on varying mobile networks, these are the real world conditions your app runs in, and they're rarely as clean as a test environment. An app optimized for low bandwidth stays responsive under those conditions. Content loads efficiently, features work without requiring a strong signal, and the attendance experience doesn't deteriorate just because the network is stressed. Events are not controlled environments. An app that only performs well when everything is perfect will let you down regularly. So that's the full list. 10 features that define what a genuinely capable event app looks like in 2026. Finding individual features on this list isn't hard. Finding all of them built well in a single platform that doesn't require stitching together multiple tools and hoping they play nicely together, that is a much shorter list. Eventify is built around exactly this combination. All 10 of these capabilities are native to the platform across more than 5,000 events. And what that means in practice is one ecosystem that handles the operational side of your event while actively improving the attendee experience at the same time. The free demo is at eventify.io. All right, well, that's episode number 22 of the Event App Playbook, the 10 non-negotiables for 2026. Offline access, smooth onboarding, gamification and rewards, targeted communication, live interactive tools, robust sponsor analytics, multilingual and accessibility support, intelligent lead capture, predictive insights, and low bandwidth optimization. I'm Kevin Rosenquist. This is Event Trends by Eventify. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and we'll see you next time.